This is Visual Studio Code, a lightweight but powerful code editor. In the next few minutes, I'm going to start from scratch so you can follow along, and we're going to write and execute some code in JavaScript, Python, and HTML, and along the way explore the features of this code editor. Now, once installed and launched, the first thing that I want to do is show you how to open a folder to set your workspace, which you can just do by going to this folder icon here and clicking open, or you can use this shortcut, and in my case that's Command O. Now I know that I want my workspace to be in my documents folder under getting started, so all I have to do is highlight that folder and click open. On the left hand corner you'll see under Explorer my folder name getting started and any files that I have under there, which is currently none. Now that we've got a folder open, let's take a quick look at the editor so you know the purpose of some of these buttons and sections. On the far left is the activity bar, and the first icon is for the Explorer to see your folders and files. Below is a magnifying glass to search, find, and replace text in files across your whole workspace. Then there's source control to track changes in code with Git and GitHub. Next is run and debug to execute code and debug it using breakpoints. The extension marketplace to add additional features to our code editor, and then a couple of icons for your account and to manage settings. But at the very top center, we have our command palette, which you can go to View and select it as your first option or use the shortcut. The command palette is very important as it is the control center for all commands in Visual Studio Code. At the bottom of the screen is the status bar, where on the left we'll see a number of errors or warnings, and on the right, the current line number and programming language. Right above that is a panel for output or debug information, problem details, and an integrated terminal. So let's go ahead and create a new file. I can go over here and select New File, or hit Command End, and quickly notice at the bottom right-hand corner, it says plain text, but once I start typing console.log, open parentheses, immediately it notices it's JavaScript. And at this point, once I start writing anything else, IntelliSense is going to kick in. I write C-O-N and it's like, oh, you want to write confirm, console? It's trying to predict exactly what I want to write. I hit the dot, the letter L. Do you want to write log? Yeah, it's reading my mind practically. This is IntelliSense. It's that smart completion. All I'll write is rise and shine. And on the next line, ready for a new day. And if I hit Command S, I will save my file as jssample.js and hit save. And you know you need to save whenever there's a change made, because if I hit the spacebar here, you'll see that there's a dot that shows up, which means I need to save. And if I want to have to avoid having to save every single time, I can go to File, Auto Save, and any little change that I make, it immediately saves it. And now to execute our code, I hit F5. As you can see below, rise and shine, ready for a new day. Now let's write something in Python. I'll create a new file, Command End, and I will save it as Python sample.py. So Visual Studio Code at the bottom right hand corner notices that it's Python, but if I start actually writing code, you'll notice that I don't have that IntelliSense. And in fact, I could write almost anything here, and it's not giving me any type of warning. So for a language like Python, extra support is needed, and that's where we could use an extension, which is the first one recommended here. So now it's installing, and it will give us IntelliSense, linting, which is going to give us that squiggly line whenever there's like an error, debugging, and some more capabilities. So now if I start writing, I get that IntelliSense, and I can finish writing my statement, and if I put in some nonsense here, it will give me a warning. And now I can add some more code to execute it by hitting F5. Python has entered the building. Or I could also execute it by hitting this Run button here. Now how about demonstrating something with HTML? So instead of creating a new file, what I do want to demonstrate is that you can just bring in a file into the Explorer section. So if I go and choose Explorer, I already have some prepared HTML that I'm going to drag in from another folder, and when I drop it, a copy of this file will be created into my workspace under Getting Started. And here is just some simple HTML Now with HTML, we can't execute it from the terminal, but what we can do is use an extension that will open a browser preview right in Visual Studio Code next to your HTML and CSS. And that extension is called Live Preview, and we want the one specifically by Microsoft, which is the first one here. So I'll install that, head back to the Explorer, and now all I need to do is right-click on my HTML file, select Show Preview, and there you have it, within Visual Studio Code. Now this version doesn't seem too attractive because there's no styling to it. I do have another example I can go ahead and drop in, and this includes some Bootstrap styling, and I'll do the same, right-click, Show Preview. This looks a little bit better. I'll hit Command minus so you can have a better view. And what's great about this is you can make some changes and you'll see the results on the fly, and that is great. I'll increase my screen again, hitting Command plus. The last thing that I want to show you is that VS Code is extremely customizable, not only with functionality features, but also with the way that it looks by changing themes. So for example, if I were to go to the command palette, which we mentioned earlier, by hitting Command-Shift-P, and I typed in theme, I can choose color themes and start scrolling up and down through the different themes that are available. And if you don't see what you like, there's an option for browse additional color themes. You can choose that, and we'll search for a lot more that's available online. And you could scroll through a bunch of these. Or if you already know the name of your theme, you can just search by just typing it in. Like I know one that's called Night Owl. I'll choose it first and see how everything looks with my new theme. So I just showed you how easy it is to execute some code in Python, JavaScript, and HTML using Visual Studio Code. And also we explore some of its features like IntelliSense, the extension marketplace, and also how to customize it with themes. But that barely scratches the surface. So to learn more about Visual Studio Code, subscribe to the channel, and also check out the links in the description for this video.